Hello guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I am your girl, Thlologelo Promise Rampa, aka Mama Wawagele, and this is the Relocate to Australia with Promise. It is your number one DIY relocation platform. So as you guys already know, if you are looking for the best content on how you can relocate to Australia, I'm from South Africa and I'm living my best life here in Australia, and you guys can also do the same. So if you want to do the same thing and you want to relocate from wherever you are in this world, you can definitely do that. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel in order for you to find out how you guys can also do it yourself. Okay guys, so let's get on to the business of the day. Today I don't have an audience. Like, I managed to get rid of everyone. And it was from last week's episode where I realized, you know what? Having children in Australia is really difficult. It is really difficult. And the reason why I've decided to do this video this week is because of the rough week that I've had with my youngest daughter, Thlolo. So she's 4 years old and she needs to get ready for school next year. But the problem is her language got delayed because of us moving from South Africa coming to Australia. So when we moved, it was in 2019 and she was turning 2. Yes, she was turning 2 that year. And then she was learning our home language. So when we came here, it was a total shock for her where she lost her speech. She just stopped talking altogether because now she all of a sudden has to, learn English. And for her, it was very difficult. I think the whole transition was just a problem. And also for us as parents, because we did not know how to deal with it, we did not really pay that much attention to it. Me and my husband honestly thought that she would develop her language like with time, because with Marang, it was very different. With her, when she came to Australia, she did not know English that well, but she managed to adapt very quickly, of which was like very weird. But with children, you just never really know until you know. So with her, she had this thing where she just stopped using our home language altogether. She does understand us when we speak to her. She understands, but she will not respond back. But also thinking about it, I'm thinking maybe it was a way of her trying to adapt to the new environment by saying, you know what, I cannot continue holding on to this language that I don't hear as much anymore. I just need to adapt. So I think it was more of like a survival thing for her as well. And for me and my husband, it was really difficult for us to let go of our home language in the home and speak to them in English so that they can adapt. And there's some people that have done that very well, but we struggled. I'm not really panicking that much. I just believe she will develop it at her own pace, at her own time. So this week we were trying to arrange stuff for her and having those conversations with daycare to say, okay, fine, what can we do for the child in order to get her ready? She's already doing speech therapy. She has seen an OT and the OT said the child was fine. And we also had an appointment with a health nurse to kind of track her development. And the nurse was like, the child is fine, it's just the speech, and we're already kind of on top of it. But the whole experience got me thinking about everything that we've been through as parents relocating from South Africa coming to Australia, and how sometimes we tend to forget our children and what they go through during this transition, because we are so caught up with trying to pace ourselves and find jobs, provide for them, settle, and we're thinking, what, they'll be fine, but they're probably also going through the same stress level as us. They're probably going through the same shock as we're going through, but they are unable to actually even communicate it to us. You know what, guys, one thing that I will tell you, relocating is very difficult. Just the logistics of it, just trying to pack up your whole family, pack up your whole life, and go to a new place, seeking whatever. It is just difficult on its own. And adding children to the mix can really make things very difficult. And I think maybe that is why some people don't really consider relocating, even though they know that there are some benefits that will come with leaving wherever you are, because nothing good is happening there. But the whole logistics of having to then leave your home, leave your supports, leave whatever that you used to there to go to a new place can be very scary and very expensive and also very stressful. Okay, I do get people who ask me questions about relocating with children. Some people would seek advice as to should they leave the child behind or the children behind, go to whatever country, settle there first, and then go pick up the kids. For me, I really do believe whatever would work for you is fine. For me, I don't think I would have been able to sleep with my children in a different country being taken care of by me. That is me. I would have never been able to sleep at night peacefully knowing that my kids are not with me. I would have not enjoyed life, and I would have not, I don't know. But there are some people who can, and some people really, it's more of what they are able to do the constraints in their lives, money, you know, we all have like different stages of our lives where we have to make very difficult decisions. So for some people who think, okay, fine, you know what, I won't be able to be a good mother or a good father or a good parent, should I bring this child along with me before I settle? There's nothing wrong with you making the decision to leave the child behind at home and for you to settle first. And I think that is maybe something that parents should consider, where they're like, okay, fine, I'm gonna go there, set myself up, gather as much information as possible about what I'm gonna need to prepare for this child, because sometimes there are some things that you miss along the way, because it depends on how you have left your country. If you left in a state where you're like, you know what, I need to get out of here, and you did not really plan much, then there are some things that you're going to miss, and it's going to make it very difficult for you to actually now catch up when you're in that country and you've got this person that's depending on you. But the main thing is, when you're applying for a visa, of which I feel is very important, is for you to include them in that visa. So you will know that they are living rights. You've already got that handled. Now it's more of you trying to settle them in. I'm not too sure how that would work with the TSS visa. I think if you are able to negotiate with your employer to say, okay, fine, I'm gonna come first, we'll pay for the rest of my family's tickets later after I am in the country, you can always negotiate that with your employer, and then you can always explain to them why you're doing that. They are human beings, they'll probably understand. And then later on, once you've settled, then you can bring them. And it also really does depend on your support structure. For me, I had my husband, such a blessing. He's so great, because we managed to kind of like experience this thing together, and we're able to support each other during this thing. And my husband is such a great support. He's a great father. Like, he's very involved in his children's lives, which makes it very easy for me to kind of like parent. But if you don't have that, maybe you don't have a spouse, or maybe you just have a boyfriend or a girlfriend and you're not married, but you want to bring a child and you're not too sure about them, or they don't want to come, the main thing is for you to know where you're sitting, right? What kind of relationship do you have, and how is that going to impact you and you relocating, and how that is also going to impact on your children and how to navigate around that. Okay, guys, so I realized that I forgot to add this very important piece of information. If you are not married to the mother or the father of your children, and you were thinking of relocating with them, you're going to need something legally signed, like some legal documentations, either from a lawyer or however you can get them, where you are saying, okay, fine, I'm allowing the mom or the dad to take the child with to Australia or wherever they're going, and this is what the custody agreement is going to look like, or this is what the agreement is. Hopefully you are co-parenting with someone that is able to understand your situation in order to release the child. But some people really do struggle to co-parent, where the other parent will not allow you to take the child out of the country, which can be very challenging. But there's always legal advice, there's always legal avenues that you can take, but it is something to keep in mind. Living with children is stressful, it is so expensive, and when talking about expenses, it really does depend on how old your child is. If your child is anywhere between the ages of 1 to 5, they have to go to daycare, because with most immigrants, when they come to Australia, they have to work. So you really do have to take your child to daycare. But this is where the tricky part comes. With the TSS visa, you do not get childcare benefits, right? Meaning that the government will not help you or subsidize your childcare. So you're gonna have to pay full amount, and that is very expensive. I'll do another video later on talking about childcare, schooling, and all of that, so that you guys can understand the numbers and you can then prepare, right? If you're gonna be coming on a TSS visa, honestly, my honest advice would be leave the child at home for as long as you can, unless you're coming to the country with someone who would be able to help you to take care of the child, and they would not be going to work, because childcare in a first world country, yeah, baba, expensive. Yeah, baba, it's painful, it's very expensive. It is so expensive. I would really recommend you leaving the child, unless you can manage your finances in a way that would allow you and enable you to continue working and having the child with you here. And that's if the child is between the ages of 1 to 5, because then they would not be attending school, right? Basically, it will be like you're working to pay for daycare. It is so painful. We literally experienced that in the beginning because of our TSS visa, and we did not know this information, and that's why it is very important for me to come to you guys and tell you that this is what we experienced. Most of my salary literally went into my child's daycare. We had to find the cheapest daycare, but still it was so much money. It was as if I was working to just pay for daycare. Lucky enough though, as I explained to you guys in my other videos, we did apply for a permanent residency visa, and we were so fortunate enough to be granted the visa in May of 2019. Yes, it was only between April and May where we had to pay full fees, because I started working on the 1st of April. So it was between April and May where we paid full fees. I think it was about 6 weeks. That was the most painful 6 weeks of my life. then at least we then got the subsidy from the government. So the government, I think, was paying like about more than 50% of our childcare subsidy. But again, that's a whole nother process, because they have to determine, because you have to go through an assessment of, okay, how many hours are you working, how much income comes into the home, and then they determine, okay, we'll give you 50%, 58%, 60%, 70% of childcare subsidy. It really does help, but you can only get those benefits if you have like a permanent residency visa, or a visa that allows you to then qualify for that subsidy. And that is why it is very important for you guys to be very careful of the visa that you're going to be taking when you're moving into a different country, and what that means for you, because you have to think of childcare and how you're going to manage your household finances, provide for this little person, and take care of yourself. So that's why it's very important for you guys to be prepared and be well informed and know what you're getting yourselves into. And do not be hard on yourself if you make the decision to leave your child in order to settle first before you can go pick up your child. It is a very difficult decision to make, I know, as a parent, but sometimes you have to think, or you know what, I need to take care of me first in order for me to be able to take care of this little person. Between the ages of like 6 to like your 10, 11, it is also kind of like expensive, but lucky enough, they would be able to then go into school. But with that one also, it really does depend on the visa that you're on. Everything literally depends on the visa that you're on. But if you're on a visa that is not a permanent residency visa, it is going to be very difficult for you. The reason being, if you're in a state that does not allow you as an immigrant to have your child in a public school where the education is free, then you're gonna have to cough out money for fees. Regardless of whether they're going to a government school or a private school, you're gonna have to cough out that money, because I think here in Queensland that's the situation. If you are not on a permanent residency visa, then you're gonna have to pay school fees for your child, regardless of them going to a government school or a private school. But if you are in a place like New South Wales, I'm not too sure about other states. That's why you guys need to do your research, and you have to contact the Department of Education prior to you coming here in order for you to know what you're getting yourself into. Between the ages of 5 to 10, they will be going to school, and then afterwards they will go to after school care. After school care is not as painful and as expensive as full day care. From the ages of 12 to 18, the government does allow your children to be at home unsupervised. So at least, because here, guys, here the law is very strict. You really do trust your child that they will be able to take care of themselves from after school until you come back home from work. You're able to leave them at home. The law does allow that. The government allows that. Because here in Australia, you have to be a law-abiding citizen. No. So yes, the law does allow you to leave your child at home from 12 to 18. But then again, guys, it really does go back to the support that you're able to build for yourself when you get here, and also looking at where you and your partner are sitting. Maybe your partner has days where they've got days off, so at least then your child would not have to go to daycare or after school care and all of that shenanigans. There are some jobs where you're able to negotiate your hours, so it really depends on what kind of work you're doing. So you can get an employer that is very lenient, where you like to them, okay, fine, I can come into the office from this time until this time. So by the time it is after school, you're at home, and then you don't have to worry about after school care fees and all of that. But you have to do your research, guys. You have to do your research, and you have to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. I always say this all the time. The other thing that I've really noticed about parents that are immigrants, and I think just parents altogether, that support, that support that is very important. Because with us, where we come from, well, in Africa, I don't know about other people, I've not been there, but for us as Africans, we really do depend on the village to raise a child. So we've got our grandparents, we've got our aunties, we've got everybody there for you, and they're able to support you. Literally, you don't even have to stress about having a child that much. Obviously, it is different for different people. Some people don't have the privilege of having a big family. Some people don't really get along with their family. So it really does depend on your own situation. You get to realize how you took for granted your village and your community when you relocate and you're now an immigrant and that support is taken away. I think for me, I looked back and I'm like, I promise you did not appreciate what you had when you had it. I really had a very supportive family regarding my children. And for me, it was a very big shift. But in saying that as well, I think also relocating has helped me to develop a very stronger relationship with my children and my husband. So it has really had a very positive impact also on our relationship. One thing that I will tell you is it is very important for you to build supports when you come here. So open yourself up to people, okay? There are Facebook groups out there where people gather in order to offer support to one another. I really do believe that if you focus your attention on something and you're really looking for something, just as the Bible says, seek and you shall find. If you really do focus your attention on, you know what, I'm going to be very intentional about the relationships that I have in order to build a support structure for myself, it will happen for you. And should you find yourself in a situation where you feel stuck and you feel like nothing is going on, it is okay for you to seek help and ask others to help you with the situation that you are in. Okay, guys, it is never the end of the day. For me, I feel like as a parent, you need to always take care of you first. Make sure that you are 100% in order for it to feed into your children, because until you are an okay parent where everything is okay, obviously you cannot have everything being okay, but if you as a parent, you feel like you are on top of everything and things are being handled, where things have reached a point where you're like, okay, yeah, now I'm calm, I'm no longer in survival mode, this is the healthy journey, I'm really feeling myself, I'm coping, I'm managing, then your kids can see it and they can feel safe around you as a parent as well. When me and my husband made this decision to relocate, it was for our children because we wanted a better life for them. And we will continue to fight for them to have a better life here. And yes, it is going to have its challenges. And yes, it is going to be expensive. And yes, it is going to be very painful. But God will not put before you something that you cannot handle. And that is something I truly do believe. So in as much as it is very difficult for me to watch my child go through this whole language development delay and all of that, I am very grateful for it because of the lessons that came with it. Imagine all the other parents that are struggling with their children here in Australia as immigrants, and they are unable to resolve it for themselves and even for their children. One thing that I will tell you, our children are not able to communicate to us. It's so funny that I'm saying communicate when my child has language problems. But our children are unable to communicate it to us, even if they have the language. They are unable to communicate it to us to say, I'm also going through the same level of stress that you are going through. So, and as much as we need to take care of them, we also need to take care of ourselves in order to fully take care of them. And do pay attention to what's going on with you first, because it is only after you have resolved it for yourself that you will be able to resolve it for your child. So be kind to yourself in whatever situation that you are in as a parent, whether you have your child with you in the country or your child has been left at home, or you have not yet made that decision, you're still at home wherever your country is and you're thinking of relocating, and you're looking at this little person and you're thinking to yourself, I want to give this person the best life possible, but what can I do? One thing that I will tell you, think of you first. Like, this is one thing where you have to be really selfish, and not selfish in a bad way, but making sure that you are full and you are okay so that your child can also be okay. Your child will never be okay for as long as you are not okay. Relocating with your children is painful, it is stressful, and because you're on survival mode and you're trying to settle and you're trying to make a life for yourself and your children, you might miss these things and you're thinking, okay, no, it's a child, this child will adapt to the new situation and all of that. And some children don't manage to adapt and they will need you as a parent to guide them. So make sure that you take care of yourself as a parent. Take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself fully 100%. Be very selfish and very intentional about your own personal care, your own mental health, and make sure that you are okay. And once you are okay, then you are able to deal with whatever that is going on with your child. It is not very easy. Sometimes you're going to have to seek help. Do seek help. Seek support. Be open and honest about your experience and what you're going through, because it is only through you being honest to yourself first about what you're going through that you're able to articulate it to somebody. And trust me, you're not the only person that's going through it. A lot of people have gone through it. It's just you being able to seek support. The other thing that I almost forgot, there are some people who are able to bring their families here either on a visiting visa or a parent visa. There's so many other options that Australia do offer immigrants to be able to bring in support into the country. So you can always research on that. There's so many visa options on the Home Affairs Immigration website. So do spend time looking at them. So if you are an immigrant that is looking to relocate with your parents, or you're already here and you're trying to get your parents here or an auntie or some support structures, Australia does allow for that to happen. It is a very difficult process. I've not yet gone into it. I know that sometimes Australia allows you to get a visa if you've got a little child or you fall pregnant in the country. They're able to allow some support to come in, but you have to research on those visa options to see what is available for you, because guys, support is very, 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 very important. There are always options. There's always a way. Always seek and you shall find. So that's it from me today, guys. I hope you managed to get something positive out of this episode. And if you're a parent, do not be hard on yourself. I know it is very difficult, but do not be hard on yourself, guys. And I love you guys for watching. Until next week, that's it from me.